So in 60 seconds or less, why two college brothers over another moving company?
Yeah, we're the only moving company that I know of in Tampa Bay or elsewhere that has a raving fan money back guarantee. And our mission is to create a 5-star raving fan on every move. So we've taken that to heart. I read the book Raving Fans several years ago. I loved that idea. And we have our own in-house chief of raving fans that checks in on every customer, makes sure that everything's going smooth. And if there's any kind of a hiccup, we immediately gets to solving that issue. And if the customer's not satisfied at the end of the day, we offer that money back guarantee that nobody else can say.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Tampa Bay Unlocked, the podcast where we dive into the dynamic world of real estate and business in the vibrant Tampa Bay area. Join us as we sit down with top agents and industry leaders who share their insights, strategies, and stories of success. Whether you're a seasoned professional or just starting out, our interviews will unlock the secrets to thriving in one of Florida's hottest markets. Get ready to be inspired, informed, and motivated by the experts shaping the future of Tampa Bay. Tune in and let's unlock the wisdom from our next guest. I have Wade Swikle, CEO of Two College Brothers Franchise Systems and author of Hometown Titan. Wade, and many other things. You got so many hats, but that's the main gist. We'll dive into all the fun things. Wade, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm wearing my Tighten Up hat right now.
Yeah.
That's a brand that we have across a few different things. But yeah, you're right. Wear a lot of hats.
Wear a lot of hats. Yeah, no, I definitely do. And for everyone watching, wondering why I'm wearing an Eagles jersey, that we just won the Super Bowl last night. It is the Monday after, and so it's only appropriate that we celebrate, as there's lots of Eagles fans here in Tampa Bay.
There are.
Yeah.
I was just saying, I don't have a dog in the fight, but it's good to see somebody besides the Chiefs win a Super Bowl for once.
I thought so. And Birds fans, we're so passionate, that you just got to be on the right side of the fence, Well, wearing this jersey today, walking around St. Pete, I had two random people come up and high-five me. A guy yelling out his truck, yell, go Birds, and a whole group of ladies enjoying their Monday brunch. We're like, we were so happy that the Eagles won. So
I think America was mostly rooting for the Eagles.
Yeah, it's a great Monday. But Wade, you got so much fun stuff happening. I'm glad we get some one-on-one time to dive into your world a little bit. So Two College Brothers Moving and Storage. Did you start that company?
I did, yeah. I started with $600 in a pickup truck at the age of 21.
Wow.
So we've been in business now for coming up on 15 years.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So I'm always interested with any entrepreneur where the seed of thought came from. So what made you take your pickup truck and your $600 and go start a moving business? And did you realize that you were starting a moving business as you were doing it?
No, so that's an interesting question. And I read a little bit about the early days in the book, but basically it started because, I've always kind of had that entrepreneurial bug. In high school, I'd go buy candy bars at Walmart and then sell them to kids between classes for $1 a piece and make my little spending money back then, doing little projects here and there. But it all really started the summer I came home from my freshman year of college. I was playing baseball at a small private school in North Carolina, Division II, so not that good. And I wasn't getting the playing time that I wanted, and it was an expensive private school, and all my friends were going to big universities. And so I came home that summer, and my dad said, you have to get a job. You got to help pay for some of these student loans that we took out. And, so I applied, and this was like summer of 2008, I believe, 2008 or 2009. And I was basically just applying anywhere that I could. I probably applied to 30 places. Nobody was hiring. People with master's degrees were taking jobs as servers because the economy was kind of in the toilet back then, especially in real estate. And I basically could not get any kind of hours anywhere. So I started, throwing up ads on Craigslist of all places. My dad said, I've got a friend that works at JCPenney's. If you can't find something this week, you're going to go work for him and spend your summer folding clothes in the back room of a mall. And I was like, I better get to something. So I put up ads on Craigslist, just advertising myself as a college athlete, looking for any kind of general labor. And I got some odd jobs mowing yards, helping handymen and carpet cleaners. But I started to get a lot of calls to help people move. And, people were downsizing and they were, trying to save money any way that they could. And my very first job, I charged $10 an hour for to go out and help somebody load and unload a U-Haul truck. And I was like, this isn't too bad. They treated me to lunch. They gave me a little extra tip at the end of it. And I was like, I could probably keep doing this. And, I didn't mind it. I like the physical work aspect of it. And people seem to like the idea of hiring a college kid in an industry where there's a lot of really shady characters, typically. Low barrier to entry, high barrier to success, as I like to say.
Yeah.
And just spent the whole summer starting to tailor my free Craigslist postings to young buck in a truck, young college athlete looking to help you move. And I raised my prices after that first job from $10 an hour to $12 an hour. And my phone kept ringing. So eventually I went up to $15 an hour, and it kept ringing, and saved up a few $1,000s that summer. Ended up transferring to the University of Florida. Basically, I had a little bit of a Bright Futures scholarship still that I was eligible for, and baseball just wasn't working out. So went to UF and kept doing the same thing up there, and was hiring my friends to help me out. A few years later, my brother got into UF, and he started helping me out. And it came time to graduate from my undergrad degree, and I'd been doing this kind of freelance moving on and off. I worked a little bit as like a 1099 for another company that had a unmarked pickup truck and an unmarked trailer, and I saw he was charging like way more than $15 an hour, but he was paying me $15 an hour, and I was like, wow, if this guy can basically get all this business with no branding whatsoever, no seemingly business acumen, I'm graduating college, like maybe I could do this too. And so I applied for a master's degree, did the next logical thing that any college kid that doesn't know what they want to do yet does, and
Get more educated.
Just get more educated. Yeah. Have another excuse to extend that runway of the college experience. And the business school at Florida had an entrepreneurship program that was only a couple years old at that point. I was like, this kind of sounds right up my alley. And part of that program was to start a business. You had to basically start a company, and then throughout the course of the year is kind of like the thesis of that program. And moving was what I knew. And I had the pickup truck. I was able to use my $600 life savings at the time to get the right insurance, basically forego a couple textbooks that my student loans were supposed to be for. I think it's probably statute of limitations out that I could say that, but I was able to put a little bit of that into the business. And I was in a fraternity, so I was able to get some of my fraternity brothers to help out when I needed extra labor. I'd go rent trucks, and just started to organically scale it, advertising that college student mover that people in a college town seemed to like. And it started off mainly just with college kids as my employees and helping other college kids. But I realized that college kids aren't always the most reliable when it comes to just working. When they show up, they're great. They're clean cut, they're smart, they're educated. But it's getting them to
show up
after a night of college activities.
I didn't go to sleep. I'm not showing up to work tomorrow.
Right. Yeah. And the college kids only moved about 4 weeks out of the year. So I was like, okay, we gotta kind of pivot this into something a little bit more sustainable. And that ultimately led for me to kind of refocus my hiring efforts to look for people that could do it full time, and that still fit kind of that mold I was looking for with the clean cut professional look, but that would take the job seriously. And then our customer base shifted from the college students to helping residents move. And fast forward a few years, we opened up a Tampa location in 2015. I was driving back and forth, pulling my hair out like a madman, trying to figure out this game called moving, and basically sought out mentorship. I reached out to other moving company owners that were successful in other markets. I started going to any conference I could go to, but there weren't a lot of resources for college or for moving company owners back then. And so I decided to take these conversations I was having with people that had been successful in this industry and start a podcast called the Grow Your Moving Company podcast, because there was no other moving specific industry podcasts at that time.
Smart.
And I still do it to this day. It's the longest actively running moving industry podcast, and I learned so much from doing it, and I get to talk to so many amazing people, both in the moving industry and out of it. I've had real estate agents and brokers on there. I've had sales trainers and consultants and all kinds of different people. And I've learned a ton about just business, life, moving through doing that. We started hosting our conferences that were started off bringing together moving company owners in an Airbnb as a mastermind, and we called it the Moving Titan Retreat. Turned that into a full-scale conference where we rented out an entire hotel room, bringing moving company owners from around the country. And I continue to learn to this day, but over the last 10 years of the 15 or so that I've been doing this, I've just basically learned a ton. And I talk about a lot of those lessons in the book, both from hands-on experience, seeking mentorship, getting around the right people and in the right rooms. And here I am today.
Yeah, that's was really smart to see collaboration in the way that you did in an industry that seems pretty niche. In a market, right? Like, I don't know that people think like I'm going to go mastermind with other moving companies, but I guess you can mastermind within any industry.
Sure.
That's my own limiting belief of what's happening there. But pretty cool to watch the success. So how did two college brothers? I'm looking at, you got your nice shirt on here, moving and storage. Who was the second?
Yeah, so my original company name was called Smarter Moving Solutions, and I was basically competing against these two brothers that were also at UF at the time, and they were in a different fraternity. And I saw one of their trucks pull up at a stoplight one day, and they had started this company called Two College Brothers while I was running my original company, Smarter Moving Solutions. And I was like, dang, like that's exactly what I'm trying to do here. And so I basically followed them for like 2 years, competed against them. I kept one of their flyers on my desk until one day, one of the original brothers reached out to me and said, hey, we're looking to do some other things. We want to sell the company. We've been watching what you're doing. It's very similar to what we're doing. Would you like to buy it? And so I said, well, I don't really have much money to buy a business. I've never done a merger and acquisition. I'm 22, 23 at this time. Been doing it for a couple of years on my own with Smarter Moving Solutions, and ended up figuring out a way to give them an offer, come up with some money to purchase the brand, and just was for a while running Smarter Moving Solutions next to Two College Brothers until I realized we need 2 sets of uniforms, 2 different types of trucks, 2 different websites, 2 different marketing campaigns. I was like, okay, well, my brother works for me right now. My fraternity brother works for me right now. Why don't we just stick with one brand? They had built up a little bit more traction than I had with their brand. They had been around officially for a year or 2 longer, even though I was doing the freelance moving, and basically decided to pour everything into this one brand and basically become the new College Brothers. But yeah, that's really how the name Two College Brothers.
Yeah, that's important though, because it was a big branding decision.
Yeah,
that's what it sounds like. You had two businesses running parallel, just under 2 different hats in terms of name, and then selecting the brand that had a better market pull at the time.
Yeah,
right?
It was just a little stickier, especially being in a college town, and decided, let's do it. Let's go all in. I've thought about rebranding over the years a few times, because a lot of times people have the misconception that we only move college kids or we only hire college kids, which is how it started. But it's really evolved into so much more than that. But, we've been in Tampa Bay now for 10 years, and we've been in Gainesville, which is now a franchise. I sold that location as a independently owned franchise. We have another franchise in San Antonio, Texas, and another location in Naples, Florida now. So we've got 4 locations. Our headquarters flagship operation is here in Tampa Bay, and decided, what, the brand works. We've been able to grow with it. Let's just run with it.
So in 60 seconds or less, tell me why Two College Brothers over another moving company? Yeah,
we're the only moving company that I know of in Tampa Bay or elsewhere that has a raving fan money back guarantee. And our mission is to create a 5-star raving fan on every move. And so we've taken that to heart. I read the book Raving Fan several years ago. I loved that idea. And we have our own in-house chief of raving fans that checks in on every customer, makes sure that everything's going smooth. And if there's any kind of a hiccup, we immediately gets to solving that issue. And if the customer's not satisfied at the end of the day, we offer that money back guarantee that nobody else can say.
So what makes a raving fan experience in the moving world? Like, for those that are like, well, I don't want anyone touching my stuff, or I don't know, what are the objections you hear as a moving company? Yeah,
so I think it starts with the people and the culture that you build. It comes down to basically finding good people that fit your values, and then basically training them, giving them the tools that they need to succeed in order to go out, and anything from customer service, simple introducing yourself and being polite, to actually having the skill set to protect high-end furniture. A lot of people view moving as a commodity, but they don't view their furniture as a commodity. And you get into some bigger houses, it's not uncommon to see $50,000, $60,000, $100,000 worth of furniture in a home. So why just basically try to find the cheapest possible solution to move it when you don't know who's going to show up. Whether it's, it could be felons, it could be, unbackground checked people. It might be people that are just day laborers that don't take any pride or have any training.
Yeah. Do they have the right packing materials? All these things, right?
Exactly. So we take a lot of pride in the training aspect, having the right people on board, building a culture. I think a raving fan client starts with having a raving fan team member on your team. They need to love their job. They need to be on the bus, embrace your core values, because I like to say happy employees make happy clients, and happy clients make happy owners.
That I like it. You got all the buzzwords, all the right things. So, okay. So when did you decide to write a book? And what was the thought process behind that? Because I can tell you're strategic in the way that you move.
Yeah.
And so there was some strategy behind that. But what made you write Hometown Titan?
Yeah. So I've always been creative. I like to write. I did well in writing in school. The math side of my brain, I don't like it as much. I can still do what I need to do, but I like to talk. I like to write. And I think it was just kind of an outlet to kind of share my story and the journey that I've been on. And I read a book that was about writing books and why you should write books. And essentially writing a book establishes you as an authority in the space that you're looking to establish yourself in. So it'd been a goal for a while, and I've spent about probably 7 or 8 months just early mornings after the gym, sitting in a coffee shop for an hour or two before the craziness of the day started, and essentially just kind of outlining my journey. And I try to tell a story at the beginning of each chapter that relates to a lesson that I learned from that real life experience. And I just wanted to share my message with the world and basically try to help other small business owners that might be bootstrapping a company or trying to dominate the market that they're in, whether it's in moving, which through the podcast and the events that we host, I've got a lot of influence in, but it really applies to real estate. It applies to anybody who has a local business that's trying to capture as much market share as they possibly can.
So what are some of the lessons in that book? Give me one. What's the biggest lesson out of the book?
Yeah, so one of them is become magnetic. I went to a Tony Robbins event probably 5 or 6 years ago, and he led us through this meditation where, you basically recited a mantra. And the one that came to me was be magnetic. Draw people that you want into your life to your life. Be the flame, not the moth. And that's one chapter where I talk about, become the type of person you want to attract, whether it's in dating, whether it's hiring the right people to join your team, whether it's the people you want to do business with, your vendors, your partners, because I think a lot of times people they play victim. They don't understand why there's so many toxic relationships in their life, when a lot of times that just comes down to looking in the mirror and saying, I don't like where I'm at. I can't expect other people to like where I'm at. So I need to fix a lot of these bad habits that I have and get around a lot of the right people. Mm-hmm. And, typically like attracts like, and real knows real. So if you're really working on yourself on a daily basis, whether that's, positive mindset, keeping your health in good shape, you don't have to be a bodybuilder, but, physically working out, eating the right things, listening to the right things, not just, some news garbage that's making you scared of life. Embracing that mentality of abundance, you'll start to attract people that share a lot of those same values.
Yeah, and there is something special about those type of people, right? You can make 1 + 1 = 3.
Yeah, I love that saying.
Yeah.
They say 2 horses create 3 horsepower.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's true. It's true. Ray Dalio writes about that in his book and says that great collaborations like playing jazz music.
Yeah.
And so when you have your people, it's just humming. I was saying to our team this morning how we just have the right people and we're all fired on all cylinders right now. So it feels really, really, really good. So how long have you didn't start in St. Pete, Tampa Bay area, did you?
No, I started it up in Gainesville when I was going to Florida. I grew up down in Venice, though. So, my pen just exploded. Not sure what happened there.
Yeah.
I guess I've been writing too much. I grew up down in Venice, Sarasota County. That's where I was born and raised, and went to Gainesville. started the company. So I was kind of trapped up there for about 10 years.
Yep.
Even though we had opened a company in 2015 in Tampa, I was just pulling my hair out, driving back and forth all the time, trying to spin all these plates. I dated somebody in the Bradenton area, so I'd go stay down there, commute up to Tampa 45 minutes, work for the day, go back down there, shoot up to Gainesville the next day. So when COVID struck, I was like, you know what, it's time to get out of Gainesville. I felt like I was a big fish in a small pond. I wanted to become a big fish in a big pond, and really kind of pour all my efforts into growing in this Tampa market. And I went to, right before COVID, I went to a mastermind meetup similar to the ones that we started hosting a couple years later. And we presented, there was like 8 moving company owners, and we all presented on our businesses for about an hour, 2 hours a piece. We would critique each other and give advice and opinion from kind of the outside looking in. And everybody there was like, you need to focus your efforts on Tampa and growing this market, because there's just so much more that you could do to grow. You're so limited in a small town on what you can do. And so when COVID hit and everything closed up, and I'm in this small town, I was newly single, got out of that relationship. I wanted to get around more high-powered people, bigger businesses, more opportunities, and decided to move to St. Pete. Our office is in Tampa, but I live in St. Pete, so I get the best of both worlds. And I've been here since 2020, so about 5 years.
Amazing. And you've been able to make a staple. We'll talk about your event that you have coming up. You have some great speakers lined up at your event. So you have, what's happening at the Mahaffey, and it was April 10th?
April 10th, yeah. So we're hosting our first ever Hometown Titan retreat based on the theme of the book. We've done these events, several hundred people for the moving industry for the last few years, where we've basically catered it to the moving industry, but learned a lot about how to put on a world-class event and brought in some amazing speakers for that. And since the book just came out, I was like, what would be awesome is the Hometown Titan thing to do would be to host a local event that caters to the people kind of in my sphere. The real estate ecosystem is what I like to call it. So that's agents, that's brokers, of course, that's real estate investors, but other home services that you probably rely on a daily basis, like home inspectors and mortgage brokers and any of the trades, really, contractors, remediation people. I could name all the home services.
The list goes on and on and on.
Yeah, let's bring them all together. We just had 2 hurricanes that devastated the area. It impacted our real estate market. Some of these vendors are seeing their business go gangbusters because they're in the business of fixing things up. Some of them are seeing a big slowdown because real estate has gotten a little bit tougher than it was a couple of years ago when interest rates were 0 and everybody seemed to be moving to Tampa Bay and their mother.
Right.
And so, I think it's something where we can bring together the community, allow partnerships to form, get an awesome speaker lineup. We're going to have a trade show in the lobby. We've got the entire theater rented out for the day. So we'll have all the service businesses lined up in the lobby, any brokerages that are looking to attract new talent. We want to fill the room basically with half people in real estate, half people in the home services, bring in some excellent speakers to share their messages. A lot of mostly local speakers that are at the top of their game. Jennifer Thayer, one of your agents here at Keller Williams. Yeah. She's going to be one of our speakers. We've got a few other top producing realtor speakers and brokers getting up there. And between talks, it's all about networking and building those connections and masterminding with one another.
Being magnetic, right?
Exactly.
Connecting. And that's really what being a magnet means, right? Finding connection with people. That's cool. That's really, really exciting. And having the experience to do it in the moving industry, I'm sure now you're excited to do it locally and connect with more people, because then everyone wins together, right? There's a big win-win in that. This journey is interesting. What has been different from you moving from the Gainesville area into St. Pete? If we talk a little bit on just Tampa Bay, having an office in Tampa Bay, St. Pete, now you're more people, hustle and bustle. Was it a harder market for you to break into? What was that like? Just the entrepreneurial journey of changing locations. Yeah,
it definitely was a harder market to break into. No longer could I leverage the young college student that started a business. There's always, I guess, as an entrepreneur, there's never a bad time to start, but there's always like a spin you can put where people want to help you. And in Gainesville, that was, this college kid's starting a business in an industry that's traditionally a bunch of blue collar, working people that, you never know what you're going to get. In Tampa, it's like, okay, cool. Like, you're a college kid that you're starting a business. Welcome to the real world.
Right.
Here.
Yeah. Like you and everyone else.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And moving is a low barrier to entry. So there was a lot more competition down here, just being a bigger market, but also a lot more opportunity because there's just a lot more real estate. There's a lot more money and there's a lot more businesses and a lot more things happening. So it was tough. I mean, it took probably 4 to 5 years to really start to break through. The Craigslist ads didn't work down here like they worked up there. I didn't really know what I didn't know. And a lot of the things and the word of mouth of a small community wasn't moving as quickly as it did down here. The online SEO on Google was a lot tougher to break through because you've got 80 something companies competing for the same top three listings in the maps. So it was tough. It was definitely challenging. And right around 2018, 2019 is where we finally started to see it catch up to what we were doing in Gainesville as far as sales go. And after that mastermind meetup decided, I need to be here. I need to be local to look for those opportunities.
Yeah, can we talk about that a little? That leap of faith that you took in shifting markets a little bit. There's some fear involved in that, some unknowns, question marks, but having a good support system and that mastermind gave you enough confidence to push through that. Was there anything else that came up with you? Like, just take me to your thought process of like, okay, I'm going to go in this bigger market. Might have to take a step back before we go forward. What was that like for you?
Yeah, I think you get a better like fingerprint on the pulse of the market when you're in it. Like it's I've noticed it's a lot tougher to really have like a true feel for what's going to work and how your people are really doing unless you're in it every day and you're seeing the headlines on, the new developments that are coming up and you're driving on the different roads in the community and you see, oh, that would be a great spot to park a truck when we're not using it, or that's a great office location. Sometimes things look good on paper, but when you're actually kind of in it and you've got your finger on the pulse around it, you're like, yeah, that looks good on paper, but it's not good. Like there's that, I guess, just intrinsic, intangible that you don't really pick up on until you're submersed in the space.
Boots on the ground.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. I can relate to that because I moved here from Philadelphia, started a whole new industry, zero people connection. So I can relate to your being magnetic and connecting and networking and being in a new market. It's tough, but it's possible. It's possible. So how are you building that connection? Like, what do you talk about that in the book? What are your ways of being magnetic?
Yeah, I think it really comes down to helping other people succeed. Yeah, I try to look at everything with a what's in it for them mentality. Because if you just ask, yeah, I want this, and that, why should people give that to you? And whether that's a team member, whether that's a potential referral partner, a vendor, it comes down, I think, to helping other people succeed. And I think it's Jim Rohn that talks about it, or Zig Ziglar, maybe they both do. But basically, if you help other people achieve what they want, they're going to help you achieve what you want. And it's just that law of reciprocity, and just, putting on an event where we can showcase people and give them exposure, and making connections to where we can help somebody out that, may need help with something. And then, a couple years later, they might need your services, or they might tell everybody. We one time helped a cancer patient that had stage 4 cancer move for free, and the news picked up on the fact that we were moving them, and we were able to get a news story out of that situation just by doing a nice thing and helping somebody out. So yeah, it's the law of reciprocity, and just knowing what rooms to get in and how you can make that room better and help other people out.
So in the moving world, where are people moving from, and where are they going?
Yeah. Well, during COVID, everybody was coming here, it seemed like. Now, I think a lot of those people got a little scared from the hurricanes. The political climate, economic climate has shifted a little bit. And I think a lot of those people that originally moved down here are starting to head out. We move a lot of people to the Carolinas. South Carolina, North Carolina are both pretty popular areas. more moderate climates. People came down here, realized it gets really hot in the summer times. I guess they didn't quite realize that when they were vacationing here in February. But, some people don't like that. Some people don't like the politics. Some people are afraid of the hurricanes because they just went through the storm of the century, and maybe they lost their stuff. Maybe they didn't, but they knew somebody that lost their home. And so I think that's kind of what we're seeing a lot more of, is some people that are a little bit more hesitant to move to the area, or that have been in the area for a couple of years and are moving out of the area. Outside of that, moving outside of the cities was pretty common during COVID. People realized, hey, now I can work from home, and that hasn't really changed a whole lot. A lot of people still work from home, and so they realized, I don't have to, pay $5,000 a month to live in this downtown like high rise. I can go spend this money and get a 4 or 5 bedroom house out in the country or out in the suburbs, somewhere. I don't need to be right in the middle of everything. So there's a lot more of that going on. I think even to this day, where people are getting out of the hustle and bustle of a city, and they work from home, and so they can go kind of live wherever they want now. But you see people coming into the city too. I mean, St. Pete, just since I've been here, has really, it's exploded. There's so many cool projects and developments, and now we've got the whole Gaslight project going on over by Tropicana Field, and all these new high rises, the tallest high rise in the west coast of Florida, residential high rise. So it's really cool, all kinds of entertainment, nightlife. I just got into pickleball, and there's always somebody ready to play pickleball around here. So you see a lot of people that want to get in on the action too.
Yeah.
St. Pete, I think, is going to be one of the next,
it's the best city in the world.
I agree. I love it down here.
That's what I'm saying. So when did you do your first move across states? And how does that logistically work for a localized moving business?
Yeah, I think we got into the interstate moving around 2018. So there's a couple different models when it comes to moving across states. There's your van line model, which is kind of the traditional model. Van lines have been around for 100 years, and they're kind of dinosaurs, and they've done things the same way, then as they're doing them now. And what they do is they'll basically pick up your stuff, and they'll put it onto a truck and store it in a warehouse until they have several shipments on a big semi truck going in the direction that you're going. They'll load it all up, and then they'll take it to a hub, and then they'll have it basically distributed locally out of that hub.
Are you putting this in a container or something so it's easier to move in individual items?
Sometimes, yeah. There's like pods, there's certain containers, but that's not the model that we do. We basically we run, we call it exclusive truck access. So this is for the person who wants a guaranteed delivery date. They basically want to get their stuff picked up on Tuesday and delivered on Friday. It's for somebody who doesn't want their stuff getting mixed up with somebody else's stuff inside of a truck or a warehouse somewhere. Once it goes on the truck, it's going straight where it's going to go. And they want to deal with the same company and the same people throughout the whole process. With the van line model, a lot of times you're kind of getting tossed around, you're basically being run in circles with different owner operators. You've got, your local agent, and then you've got an owner operator, and then you've got the next agent, and then so if there's a damage or a claim, who do you talk to about that? Even if it's under the same van line agent, there's all these different subsidiaries that are touching the stuff, and sometimes, it can just get chaotic. A lot of times you have a several week-long delivery window from the time things are picked up, sometimes over a month. And a lot of people are starting to realize, like, that's a very stressful way to go through a very stressful time in their life. Mm-hmm. They want that hands-on approach where you're dealing with the same person from the time they come out and give a quote to the time that the stuff gets delivered at the other end. It's the same company. It's all background checked, people that are uniform, trained under the same standards. And that's the model that we offer. That's a little bit different from the traditional van line model. And you're starting to see a lot of corporate companies that relied on that older model now going towards the independent.
So how do you make that? Model. This is just business talk, me being curious. So you send one of your trucks to the Carolinas, and you're just eating that cost on the way back empty?
Sometimes, if so, through the network that I've built with the podcast and the book and the Titans, the conferences, I know a good mover in virtually every city around the country at this point. And I know what to look for with a good mover. So a lot of times what we can do is call them and say, hey, we're coming into your area. Do you have anybody that's moving south? And we can save the customer a little bit of money when we can do that, because we can go deliver their items, say, to Charlotte, North Carolina, and then I'll call up my friend who lives in Greenville, South Carolina, which is about an hour away, say, hey, you got anything around this area? And he'll if he says yes, then we'll basically go pick up that. He trusts us, we trust him, and we can basically give him a small percentage of that without the liability, and then it helps to cover that cost for both parties. It doesn't always work out that way, and the way that we do those out-of-state runs are a little bit more expensive than the van lines will do it, but it's still fairly competitive, and we're able to just provide a lot better customer experience.
Yeah, no, it makes sense, but that's just me getting into the weeds a little of logistics of that, because it's just interesting, even for people thinking of like, okay, how are you doing this? Which makes sense, right? You say you lock up your stuff in the truck, you say it, and then boom, you're seeing it again right as it was left on the other side. So I can definitely see the advantage of that compared to other services, this van line that you speak of. And importance of having a network, just like in the agent world, someone moving to Charleston, you want to connect them with a great agent in the area so they have a good experience, a good handoff there. So definitely a lot of parallels in our worlds when it comes to the moving thing. So what else? So what else should we know about this event, your world? I mean, you got so much going on, Wade. Just trying to make sure we unpack it all.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a never before done event that brings together two very specific industries. So it's not just like a general business event. It's geared towards the local person who's out there pounding the pavement every day, that has the heartbeat of Pinellas County and Tampa and the Tampa Bay area all together, bringing everybody together to make those connections, but to hear from some of the titans of industry right here in real estate and home services. We've got an excellent speaker coming in from Arizona. His name's Tommy Mello. He's the home service expert. He's got a $300 million garage door service company, has written a couple books, and hosts the Home Service Expert podcast. And he is, I think it's the number 7 ranked business podcast on iTunes, and he's spoken at our moving events before. And he's a fantastic person for the home service side of things. And then, of course, we've got some of the best top producing agents in Tampa Bay speaking on, whatever they feel got them to where they're at. That will open up the eyes and ears to a lot of aspiring agents. Andrew Duncan is another one you've probably seen.
Yeah, you've Ali Russell coming.
Ali Russell, yeah. So, I look at it from a mentality of abundance. Some people might say, oh, no, like that's my rival talking, or, there's going to be my competitors there. Why would I want to share that? But what I've discovered over the last few years through doing the moving conferences, we have all kinds of local companies come to our events. It's that mentality of abundance. Sometimes we can't do something and we know that they can. We're booked and they're not, or we specialize in this and they specialize in that. And so at the end of the day, if we make sure that the customer has a good experience, whether it's with our company or somebody else's, or, in real estate, maybe you specialize in investors and this person specializes in high-rise, luxury apartments. There might not be, somebody might come into your lap that wants to live in that high rise, and then she might have somebody that comes into your lap that is looking to invest. And if you pass that business back and forth, there's that reciprocity that goes into it. So
I say collaboration happens at the top, competition happens at the bottom.
Exactly.
Right. And so your mind of abundance, it's all about collaboration, and ever more important, why being in a niche and specializing in something, because a specialist attracts more people than a generalist, but and a specialist can help a general population.
Absolutely.
But to your point, if you know that, hey, this person specializes in military moves versus luxury versus investors versus squeaky window repair, it just makes a difference in being able to identify those people with the brand, Goes
Right.
back to branding, right?
Yeah.
It's all interconnected.
And
Now-
it's also just getting in the room with high-powered, high-producing people. Every time we have one of our events, there's movers that are way more successful, way bigger than I am, and I leave fired up because it's like, wow, that's possible. You get to see what's possible when you're around that like higher level of thinking, and it just pulls you up, and you get that mastermind effect in reality with it.
It's neat, especially when you're around those people, because you go, they're no different than me. Mm-hmm. Right? They have the same amount of time. It's just resources and decisions, choices to be made. Yeah. You're doing a lot of cool things. I'm super pumped about it. So April 10th at Mahaffey. How do people like come to this thing?
Yeah. So realtors can come for $97. Tickets are normally $500. If you go to hometowntitanretreat.com, hometowntitanretreat.com, and use the promo code Realtor400, it basically saves you $400 on the ticket. We don't want the cost to be a barrier to entry to get in. At the same time, we don't want the person who sells one house a year necessarily to fill the room.
Right.
If they're just starting out and you sell one house, you're great. Like, come. You'll learn how to.
Well, if you're coming
that.
to something like this, you have aspirations to do more.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
And we know a lot of realtors live commission to commission. Home sold to home sold, and sometimes there's a gap in there, especially early on in the journey. That we just want to get you there. And if you want to achieve at the highest level and become the $100 million top producing agent in Tampa or St. Pete or anywhere else, this is what these other people did who have the same amount of time in the day did it.
Right. What's next for you?
That's a great question. Definitely, I could see myself writing some more books. I thought about possibly the next one being kind of the how the moving industry works. So basically what we were just talking about, kind of educating people on this is what's really going on. This is why all moving companies are not the same. This is why some are better in certain situations than others. So potentially doing some of that. I do enjoy public speaking, so I'd like to kind of get speaking at some other events that aren't my own. I'll come speak to a room full of 50 agents, or ideally, getting on the stage at some larger conferences and networking and rubbing elbows with some of the other high-profile speakers. And growing my Tampa Bay company is definitely up there too. I've been researching and learning a lot about how private equity works, and the moving industry is a very fragmented industry, and I think that's a lot of the reasons for inconsistencies in it. There's not like a super dominant player or players in it, and I think down the road, and this isn't going to happen in the next year or two, but potentially, the 5-year plan is to build up this network and do some kind of private equity roll up with the top companies from around the country, and potentially exit at some point, 5 to 10 years out from now. I could see that kind of being, everybody says you should have an exit strategy at some point. And even if you don't want to sell it, build it like you're going to sell it, because that'll just make it run better and more profitable and allow you to grow, more self-sustaining. So I want to grow our Tampa Bay market as much as possible. If the right person comes along that wants to buy a franchise in the right market, definitely want to expand the franchising side and help our existing franchisees and locations basically dominate the markets that they serve, and continue to just try to help other people succeed, because I know that eventually that'll come back to me.
I love it. You're doing amazing things. I mean, it's all great. I'm super glad we had this opportunity to connect and dive into your world a little bit, because it's cool and it's super important, and you're doing it in such a cool place. I mean, I love St. Pete. I mean, Greater Tampa Bay is amazing. I think we have a lot of great things and a lot of growth happening here. So to give back to the community, knowing that it is a lot of small businesses, and help, whether it's an agent or a home inspector or the plumber or whoever, right? I'm very, 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 very passionate about the small business community here. So love to connect with people that are doing that at a high level and helping them open more doors, make more connections, be magnetic, do all the fun things. What else should we know, or where can we find you? So I know we can go to the hometown. What was the website one more time?
hometowntitanretreat.com.
hometowntitanretreat.com to get your ticket for April 10th. And then if we need to move, how do we get a hold of you?
Yeah, just visit twocollegebrothers.com. I can give you our phone number, but you're probably driving while you're listening to this.
Yeah, wherever. Yeah, we'll put all the information in the description as well.
Yeah, twocollegebrothers.com, though. If you fill out a quote form on there, we've got an AI quoting tool that you can take pictures of your house and get a quote pretty much immediately. And then somebody will reach out to walk you through the process and be able to get that dialed in. And if they need somebody to come out and take a look at everything, we like to quote everything out that's 3 bedrooms or larger, so that it starts to get a little more complicated at that point. So we like to actually have a real face out there on site to make sure everything's good to go. So you can find all the information at twocollegebrothers.com. I'm on Instagram at Wade at Wade Swikle is my Instagram, just my name, first and last name.
Yeah, quick Google, you pop up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, amazing. For those that are with us, they made it through however long we've been going. What's one word they can comment below?
Persevere.
Persevere. See if you can spell that right. Wade, thank you so much for being on. Appreciate you. I'm excited for the event. We'll put all of Wade's information in the description below. Don't forget to like, follow, tell a good friend, and sign up for the event at April 10th at Mahaffey.
Yeah.
Awesome.
See you there.
Thanks, Wade.
Thanks, Ryan.
Yep. That was awesome.